Hey, what is up? Welcome to this episode of the Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian Lofermento, and I'm so excited about today's guest because he is super passionate about all the things that come with entrepreneurial growth. And heck, I'm going to extrapolate that and just say life growth in general, because he's someone who has been in the online marketing and online course sphere for quite some time. And if you've ever been wondering about online courses and all the plethora of tech options and course platform options that are out there, then today's guest is going to demystify so much of that. So let me tell you about him. His name is Kevin Marshall. Kevin has spent the better part of the last decade creating online courses that help people improve their careers and livelihoods. He had the idea to start his company Owwlish after failing to find an online course software that offered what he was looking for to create his next online course. As someone who has created a lot of online courses myself, I can't stress how important it is to have a great course platform. Besides his work on Owwlish, his time is filled with things that excite and inspire him, including open source software development and sales, interview coaching, marketing, stoic philosophy, meditation, digital entrepreneurship, long-term travel. There's so much that Kevin has to offer. I'm not going to say anything else. Let's dive straight into my interview with Kevin Marshall. All right, Kevin, I'm honestly so excited that you're here today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Brian. Honored to be here.
Heck yeah. I obviously teased listeners a little bit about all the awesome things that you are passionate about and that you're incredible at doing as an entrepreneur, and even outside of that, just in life as you pursue your own growth. Take listeners beyond the bio, though. Who the heck is Kevin? How did you start doing all these great things?
That's a good place to start, I guess, is at the beginning. I can say that I did them kind of out of sheer will and a certain level of persistence over the years. And I began all this back around maybe 2012 or something like that. So it's been almost 11 years now. I was working a corporate job, as maybe of your listeners are. I had a long-looking career down the road in information technology, and I didn't even hate my job. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the people. I had finally found a job that I liked, but I wanted more. And what I really wanted was time. I really wanted time and freedom, and that was my main goal. Money has always been something that, for me, it was a tool to be able to get that time and freedom, but it was never the end goal itself. So that's what I was shooting for, and that is what I began doing. So I can just kind of, I can start there if that sounds good to you.
Yeah, I'd love to, because I've got all the questions, Kevin. So I want to see where you take us, especially because I think that one thing that's absolutely fascinating is there's so many elements to entrepreneurship. We all start for that freedom. It's something that I share so much in common with you. But I think that one thing that I just shake my head at, and I'm like, that's so far from reality, is all the people who say that some sort of opportunity or some sort of situation in the world of business and marketing and entrepreneurship, that it's saturated. And you and I have both been in the online course space much longer than most people. I'm going to toot our own horns a little bit there. And we've heard all of it. Heck, from year one, you and I have probably heard people say, the online course situation is saturated. But obviously that's not the reality. Take us back to those early days, because I think it's really important to acknowledge, one, longevity in the game, Kevin, tells me that you're awesome at what you do, and you've expanded along the way, and you've transitioned naturally along the way. But take us back to those early days of online courses and then bridge that gap to today, because there's been so many shifts along the way.
Well, as you mentioned in the intro, I had an interest in like meditation and even some spirituality. I had done a lot of work previous to those with kind of Buddhism, Christianity, all that. So I kind of enjoyed all of that, and I began doing. I began actually building a platform for personal coaches to be able to teach their craft, their knowledge, their wisdom, all that stuff. And so that was the actual beginning of it. And so I can tell you that while I was excited and passionate about that, that did not go well. It was a big failure. So my first business out the door, again, I'm looking for freedom. I'm looking for a way to set myself free of kind of like a corporate life. I'm not a morning person, so the whole 8 to 5 thing wasn't working for me. But I I began building this platform. Actually, I recruited lots of coaches. I think at one time we had over 100 coaches on our platform, and they were encouraged to blog. They were encouraged to share articles. They were encouraged to build courses. And as an IT person, I had built it all myself. And this dream was going to be the big thing. We were going to make this huge. And it didn't go, as I say, it didn't go as expected. What I found immediately was I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't really understand the market very well. I didn't understand the value of what I was providing to either coaches or to the end customer. And trying to actually kind of create like a marketplace of courses was also really hard business to start. So anyone who's interested in starting a business, creating a two-sided marketplace where you have to get the customers and you have to get the vendors and put them together, not an easy thing to do, especially for the first time out the gate. And so after that sort of fell apart and the dust is settling, my wife and I were contemplating, okay, well, how do we do this? We both want to be free. She was actually a dentist at the time. She did not enjoy working as a dentist. I was, again, doing IT. I did not enjoy that. And so how can we set ourselves free of this kind of work? And what we realized is, like, with my technology skills and her dentistry skills, we could actually find a way to put those two together. And so we started creating dental courses for fellow dentists, practical techniques and things like that. And we were kind of one of the we did it actually in person to begin with. And so we actually had people at our house, and we had students come and all that kind of stuff. Eventually we moved to more of an office type situation. And after about a year of doing in-person courses, we knew that, okay, people will pay us for this. There's a value here, but we still don't like the aspect of being tied down in one location. We just are not enjoying that. We had a little bit of a sabbatical where we went off. The season for courses had kind of died, so we took a little break and we went off to Thailand and decided just to enjoy ourselves there and keep working on our business and marketing and all that kind of stuff. And while we were there, we just had this epiphany: why don't we just make an online course? Now, again, I hadn't touched online courses for years since the spirituality, platform thing, the meditation thing. And so there was a bit of hesitation, like, really, is this going to work? I mean, okay, we're doing in person, but that's dentistry. It's a very in-person thing. You need to actually see the person you're learning from. But we thought, let's try it. Let's see what we can do. And we were one of the first, we probably created one of the first online courses in dentistry that taught hands-on skills, dental techniques, all through the camera, and with the expectation of students actually learning and being able to gain as much from that online course as someone who actually came to one of our in-person courses. And so that was, at the time, it was kind of preposterous to a lot of dentists, but there were so many students that were not able to afford our, the hotel costs, the flying costs. And because it was an online delivery, we were able to kind of lower the price for folks compared to our in-person. And what we found is that there were lots of people around the world, lots of dentists around the world who wanted this information. And so we had a great start to that business because we were willing to take a risk and try something that other people thought was not possible. So that's kind of how we got going. And ever since then, it's been an incredible experience, kind of the course world in general. One thing I will say, though, is value. And that was something that I didn't realize at the beginning of my journey, is I wasn't creating that much value in my first business. But when we began doing the second business, it was a very practical business, practical course. It was very specific. And the delivery of what we were going to give them in terms of content, the student in terms of content, was very clear. They knew what they were going to get. We knew what we were going to give, and there was no mystery about it. And I think I talk to a lot of course creators, and I think that's a big problem that a lot of course creators have, is that they're not very specific in the content of their courses. They maybe want to teach how to love yourself, or I met somebody who wants to teach like how to feel how to navigate any workplace situation, how to improve your career. These are kind of general, vague topics. And because they can be so vague and rather general and rather large, zooming out, a lot of times the students don't actually know what they're going to get, and they're actually often not even looking for that. So people aren't searching those kind of terms anyway in terms of the marketing side of things. So those are a few of my ideas on why some of the courses succeed and why some don't.
Yeah, I love that. We're for sure going to talk about course structure and course setups, because I want to call out one important point that you made for listeners, which is, of course, the goal of every online course is to deliver a real transformation to people. The mechanism through which we deliver that content, it's not just about the content. I think that's one big mistake. People think, oh, the course, the value, the price of it, the reach of it, the success of it is going to be down to how good the content is or isn't. Content's only one part of the equation. So I'm excited to go there with you, but of course, I'm also excited to talk about the nature of the platform. As someone who has used so many different course platforms, Kevin, I so relate to the part of your story where you say, hey, I couldn't find a solution that fit my needs. A lot of people listening probably haven't actually started an online course just yet. Please be the one that walks them down that road. What are the gaps in a lot of course platforms? Mm-hmm. What were you personally looking for? And don't be shy about teasing Owwlish a little bit here as well.
All right, cool. Yeah. So we started Owwlish about 5 years into our journey as course creators. And it was, again, kind of due to frustration. We were butting up against just the limitations of a lot of the platforms out there. What we were looking for is to be able to deliver an experience to a customer from the beginning of the journey when they first arrive at your website. So this is one of the issues that we had. We created this beautiful website, had a designer do it and all that stuff. Spent a lot of money on the logos, the colors, the color scheme, the color palettes, all this stuff, and we put it all into this. And then when we tried to actually build the course, we had to go on a different system, throw it on a completely different website because it couldn't be added to our website, not easily at least. And that was where it was kind of like we're kind of going from this beautiful experience to dropping off a little bit of a cliff for the customer experience and for that purchaser. I happened to I happened to purchase a course from someone I really respected many years ago. And one thing I was really impressed with is when you arrived at his website, you went through his marketing materials, and then you actually clicked to buy. For whatever reason, you didn't get sent to another web domain or another domain or a subdomain. You were right on the same course, and the entire experience felt consistent and beautiful, the same colors, same experience, and I didn't have to leave, and I didn't have to search for my login or anything like that. So that was one of the big issues: is how can we actually build a platform that snaps right into your website, your current website, so you can spend thousands of dollars on a web designer, create a beautiful design, and then put that course right into there, and they don't have to go off to a subpar looking experience. They can have that same and similar marketing design, all that kind of stuff experience. How do we get it so that when they click to buy and they put their email in, they don't have to get an email to figure out how to log in and where do I log in, and it's a different website and all this nonsense. It's very simple for the learner, and they can just get right into it. It's because a lot of times learners want to take the course now. They click buy, they expect to actually get into the content, and they want to start experiencing that content immediately. So that was one of the other things. And then the other thing that we started to experiment early on was kind of community, and how the community aspect, we actually ended up having some cool things where students would meet each other because they needed to maybe study for the same exam, learn the same techniques, and they would actually meet each other on our course site and start chatting with each other and send each other messages. And suddenly it was like, oh, that's neat. People are actually meeting. And eventually we even had it where people would let us know, hi, me and so who met on your course met for coffee. Because we realized we lived in the same area and now we're friends. And when we got some of that feedback, it was like, oh, this is cool, the community aspect. So those are some of the things that we set out to build with our product, Owwlish. And I'm happy to say we build a lot of them. We're still, when you talk about building a SaaS, when you talk about being an entrepreneur, there's, it's always easier said than done. And so we're in the middle of that journey with Owwlish, and it's not where I want it to be in every way, but I'm so proud of where we're at right now. And some of the greatest feedback we get is just the simplicity. People love our product because it's super simple to build a course with and to deliver to their learners. So
yeah, I love that overview, Kevin. I'm going to call out. It's you hit on my favorite thing that you guys are up to with Owwlish, both as a course creator myself, but actually I'm going to say as well as a consumer, I love this one component of Owwlish, and that is that notion that you talked about. It lives within that person's website. I cannot tell you as a consumer how many online courses I've bought. For example, over Black Friday, one initiative for us on the show this year is to finally start taking YouTube seriously. So listeners, we will start investing more into growing on YouTube. We are a podcast first and foremost. But Kevin, a lot of times when I buy these online courses, I don't remember where they live. I have all these crazy login links on different domains. You're right. They don't even live on the website in which I bought it from. So I think that that's such an important thing. You talk about ease of deployment, and I think that's so important on both sides of that coin, especially for us as entrepreneurs, because when we set out to create an online course, obviously we've got a big enough mountain of identifying the course outline, creating the actual content, the marketing of it once it's launched, that this should be the easy part. Talk to us about that with not only the Owwlish CEO's hat on, but as someone who's launched your own courses yourself, what are those aspects of what goes into actually launching an online course? Not just creating it, but also launching it.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a great segue. I think in general, I've created many courses now over the years, some of them in that related to that initial business, some of them out of it. And what I've seen is the first place to really start is to really get down. Again, that I hate to go back to it, but it is that content. What content will you be starting with? And that will drive everything else. So, for instance, I made an interview course a number of years ago. Before I even began filming it, even outlining it, it was my job to really research what are people looking for, what pain points are people trying to fix. And so, actually, what I began doing is actually consulting. And so that's kind of where when people say, "I want to start a course, where should I start? And how do I make this happen? How do I launch this?" The number one maybe mistake I'll say that people will do is they have an idea, they think they are an expert, and then they think, well, because I'm an expert in this topic, I know what to make. I know what course to make. So they'll just start filming themselves making a course. They haven't really thought about the pain points of the learner and really what are they looking for. And so that would be my first recommendation is actually, if you can sell a consulting session for what is going to be in that course, whatever topic that is. If you can sell that to somebody for, give me a price, $50, $100, that is, first of all, validation that people actually want the information in the course. The main thing about a course should be the online course should be doing is making your time passive. If it's not doing that, what are you doing, right? So if you can't sell your own time in front of somebody and on a one-on-one Zoom or in person, then I would probably question whether or not you're on the right track in terms of what you're going to be putting in that course. So that would be my first recommendation. So sell yourself first. Then your goal should be to take what you're learning in those sessions. What are the questions that those customers are asking you or those clients are asking you? What are the common patterns that you see? Those should be the material that you are using to make your outline for the course. And you're basically, okay, I get 5 questions on this. For me, this was an interview course. The number one question kept coming up, tell me about yourself. Because that's often, you kind of asked me that at the beginning of this interview, tell me your story. That's the number one question. So that was, okay, this is going to be almost its own module, right? There's going to be 10 modules. That's such an important question. I'm going to make that its own module because there's so many different ways to answer that question. There'll be different lessons for each one. And I was able to do that because I had talked to so many customers. Now, if I had just started the first day and say, I'm a pretty good interviewee, I've passed a lot of interviews, let me just create a course, that would not have been the first thing I would have started with. I would have probably written an outline that included a bunch of other stuff. And so that would be... So I think that's the main thing is you need to understand what customers are looking for. If you don't have what they are seeking in the outline of the course or in the curriculum when they look at that online course sales page, then they're unlikely to buy. And then you think to yourself, oh, I failed. This course isn't selling. And I've been there before because I've also made courses that nobody wanted to buy, and I made courses that people do. And that's the difference. Now, in terms of the actual technicality, the filming, outlining, all that kind of stuff, yes. The main thing would be outline is going to be key. And as much as you can put into that outline to give yourself that guidance for creating a course, great. That's the main thing to me, is like the outline and the content hand in hand, but those are absolutely vital. When it comes to the actual filming, I think everyone's a little different. And that's kind of where I want to be careful not to tell people exactly what to do, because I'm going to assume that you're going to make a course where there's filming going on. But some people do, they do online live sessions with their folks. They'll make that some course content. I don't think that's as ideal. I think it is better to actually have a more of a formal method of delivery. But in terms of, are you the kind of person that needs an actual script word by word and you're just going to read from a teleprompter? Okay, you need to know yourself. I'm the kind of person, I'm a little more free form. So all I need is an outline, and I need some time, and I need to just practice it. And it comes out, I would say, arguably a little less stiff without a script. And so I do pretty well just taking the outline, taking the concepts, and then I'll just kind of do a number of takes. I have a great video editor, and he can take that and then take my best of maybe 5 takes for a particular topic. And we create a course that way. One nice thing that we've added to Owwlish this year, which I think I didn't have when I was making my course, is we have, because of AI, we now have like a transcription and summarization. So I can actually upload my video to Owwlish, done in a few minutes, and then I can click a button and it will actually put a beautiful summary of what that video was about, pretty much perfectly down below, so that they can get an idea. The learners can get an idea about what that's going to be about. So that's the easy part. Some of the technical stuff it's just kind of getting over the fear of it a lot of times.
Yeah. Amen to that one point you made, Kevin, about not being overly scripted. I think a lot of people go down that rabbit hole. Listeners know that's the beauty of this show behind the scenes, is there are no pre-planned questions. I'm firmly of the belief that the good stuff is going to come out. The stuff that you forget, could we all make a million better points? After we stop recording today, Kevin, you and I both are going to be like, oh, we should have talked about that. But the good stuff comes out. It's that element of trust and faith in ourselves that our expertise, our passion is going to show through there. I really like how you transparently shared that story with us about your interview course, for example. Even something as simple as hey, tell me about yourself. Obviously, that is such an important topic to cover when it comes to a course on interviews. Listeners are probably thinking, wait, Kevin, you had an online course about interviewing? Like, what types of online courses can I create? Because I feel like I'm going to call out my industry right now. I don't like how many courses are out there about how to create courses, or how many courses are out there about how to make more money through courses, perhaps. It's a little bit too meta for me, but I love the courses that teach me how to do something, whether it's YouTube. My first online course that I created was about blogging. Why? Because I created a blog when I was in college and I made money from it. So I taught people, here's how to make your first $100 just with blogging. Here's how to even set up a blog. Kevin, give us an overview. I know that you've seen a lot of different online courses. You've created some yourself. What are some out there examples that people may not realize? Holy cow, there's a course in that.
Yes, great. I actually, and a little bit of a segue, if anyone is interested, you go to Owwlish /demo, there you can check out our platform. But in doing so, you'll see that I've created like a demo course for people to kind of see what it's like to use our platform. And that demo course is basically how to make and sell a course. So, and it's free. I'm not charging for that. So one of the topics in that course is all about, what should my course be about? Because I think this is one of the biggest aspects that is going to make or break a course creator. Again, what I worry about, again, for your listeners, is folks saying, well, I'm good at XYZ. Let me create a course about it. They create the course, and either they've chosen maybe the wrong topic, or they've chosen a topic that they think people care about, but they could have chosen something kind of like a brother or cousin of that topic that would have actually been more lucrative. And I want people to succeed. I want people to make money from their courses, because the truth is, people always say, oh, I don't care if I make money. Yeah, you're never going to do it again. If you're not making money, if you're not getting the feeling that people appreciate your course and appreciate the hard work you've done, even if it's a few bucks, you're not going to want to do it again. And you're not going to feel like entrepreneurship is for you. Entrepreneurship is for anyone who wants to be one. That's the one rule I'll say. And I've failed enough to know that if you just want to do it, you just keep trying. But in terms of like deciding which kind of courses to create, I would like your listeners to think about, what would, put yourself in their shoes. What would I pay money for? What will I actually dish out money for? Now, if I can go online And it's like, let's say it's soap making, for instance. If I can go online and I can watch enough YouTube videos to kind of figure out how to make soap, maybe or maybe not, that's a great topic. I don't know. You have to kind of decide, is there enough information out there already? If I can go figure out how to make online courses and there's tons of information, maybe that is a saturated market. I would say that the one way people buy courses is through knowing you, liking you, and trusting you. We've often heard this, know, like, and trust, right? And that's been, to me, one of the secrets is if you can, the first step I would say is creating that audience for yourself. Now, if you haven't heard of a mailing list, if some of your listeners haven't heard of that, this is a great way to start. You get a MailChimp account. You have a way for people to subscribe. Maybe they subscribe to free YouTube videos. Maybe they subscribe to Instagram or Reels. Maybe they subscribe to TikTok videos. So either way, they're coming to that list. They're giving you their email address. That's a validation that there's something there. They're starting to know you. They probably are starting to like you if they've given your email address. And once you've gotten those two down, they're going to start trusting you. And then you can begin to actually test whether they want a course. And I would say, let's say you've developed, you have 100 people on your list. Then it's time to start testing. Okay, do you like soap making 101? Do you like advanced soap making? Do you like soap making for masters? High level stuff. And you can kind of figure out what it is in that broad category of soap making that will be something people will pay for. And of course, I would say, the more premium that content is, the more difficult it is for them to reach it on YouTube, the better. So, that would be my overall gist of it, is try to find something that you think people are willing to dish out money for. And I'm hesitant to say what those broad categories are, but I will say this. If you go on Udemy, and I don't have the link here, but I might be able to provide it for you guys later. I have this in my course, actually. It's a link to some analysis done by Udemy about which courses sell and which don't, which course categories, right? So that's a very unique thing. Is I like to do a lot of research before I even develop the course. I like to see what other people have done for their curriculum. I like to see what courses are selling before I make my decision about what topic to choose. And so if you look at Udemy, and again, this is off the top of my head, but if I'm not mistaken, some of the best-selling categories are very practical. There's stuff like how to use Photoshop, how to use Lightroom, how to Figma. Figma is a big one these days. So a lot of those kind of design ones, people who are creatives, but they're also technical, big sellers. You have other ones that are related to, again, job skills. Interviewing could be one. You have things about programming, lots of programming. So why is it that some of the courses that are the best selling ones are extremely practical? Because they're skills that people are going to take and be able to make money on. And if you can make money after watching a course, you're likely to pay more money for that course. If not, maybe not. So again, the stuff that's kind of like wishy-washy, this is my old course business. How to improve yourself, how to accomplish your dreams. People will buy those, but just not as much. And so if your goal, I guess that's the thing too, is to realize, what are my goals as a new entrepreneur? Is my goal to replace my income? If so, you might be wanting to look at more categories in which you're going to be able to make money from that. If I do this XYZ, if I make a great, Figma course, people will buy it. SEO course, people will buy it. However, if your goal is just to get your creative juices out and you have a great job and you just want to make a little bit of extra income, then go for the fun ones. Go for the how to improve your life, how to manifest whatever you want. Those kind of like maybe less rigid course topics, but more fun for you to create. So those are kind of just some general rule of thumbs.
Yeah, I love the way you took that, Kevin, because you're right. There's obviously there's no right way to eat a Reese's or no wrong way to eat a Reese's. And you're right. There's no limit to what we can do there. I love the fact that you jumped straight into soap making, for example, because that is one of those more outlandish ones that I guarantee people are absolutely crushing with. Mm-hmm. And I think that Udemy tip is huge for listeners. That was early on in my online course creation. That was a huge tool for me. I would just go to Udemy and sort the best sellers, and I would take inspiration from all the things, from their course outlines, from the way they lay label their courses. I would then go to their websites, see the way that they're marketing their brands, their courses outside of that. So that's a really good real life tip. And I want to point this out because I can't believe we've gone this long in the interview as we're coming towards the end, but I want to put a giant disclaimer for all of you entrepreneurs, and heck, you entrepreneurs listening to this. You don't have to strictly be an online course business. Look at Kevin. Kevin runs a tech company. However, he also has an online course about how to create online courses. Why? Because Kevin wants everyone to create online courses, and more than that, he wants them to be successful with their online courses, because in turn, it makes more demand for Owwlish. So it's a really good fit and everybody wins. Kevin, I'd love for you, with your business owner hat on now, to talk about that dynamic, because I just think that when we provide good education, which ultimately the ultimate thing we provide is transformation, everybody wins. Talk to us with that business owner hat on as to how that plays into your strategy, obviously within the concept of you want to grow your online course platform.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's such a powerful, it's a powerful concept, and it's one that I had to learn pretty early on, which was don't be greedy with your knowledge, and don't be, I would also say give your learners the benefit of the doubt, give your audience the benefit of the doubt that they have good motives. So a lot of course creators will, the biggest one that I hear is that they'll worry about giving too much free information to their learners. Like, oh, I have this incredible information, I have to protect this. So, we made this mistake early on. We had a lot of valuable content that was very proprietary. It was through years of experience, and it was extremely technical, dental technical knowledge that, was not at that time available on YouTube. So we had to protect it and all this kind of stuff. One of our competitors came into the market and just gave, and he had the same knowledge, by the way, he gave it all for free on YouTube. And it really took a lot of our market share. And what we learned from that experience was, oh, wow. For one thing we learned was don't be greedy, give that information out. But what was interesting is people signed up for his courses as much as they did our courses. And they were not discouraged from signing up for his paid courses because he gave out so much free information. They were encouraged to. Now, why does that dynamic happen? It's because most people, when they buy an online course, it's an interesting dynamic. They buy it partly for the content, but they also buy it because they want to better themselves and they want to enrich themselves. And they think that if I'm a part of this person's, course, I'm going to learn the best from the best, and that's the hope for them. So even though they may have been able to get the same information or a lot of it from his YouTube videos or even our YouTube videos, we eventually put out a lot of free information. But even though people were able to get a lot of that free information without having to pay us, they still paid us for it because they got a little more access to us. They got, again, that community aspect. And there's different ways I would say that you can give them value, beyond just the free content. So my encouragement to any course creator is, if you're worried about people getting access to your proprietary content, realize it's very little of it is actually proprietary. What people are paying for with your course is being closer to you. And that's why that know, like, and trust is so important. If you build a really great audience, you can give almost everything away for free and people will still buy your courses because they want to be part of your inner circle, your community. They want to be able to send you an email and get it. I'm one of your students. Can you answer my question? That itself, maybe that one response to their question with your years of experience could be as valuable as the price of the course itself. They may not even watch the course, but they want to get that one question answered or a few questions answered. So it's really a dynamic of, again, creating a community to serve your learners and provide tons of value to them. So yeah, I would encourage people to take that approach. It's kind of turns it up on its head because a lot of course creators really think that they have to protect that course.
Yeah, really well said. Kevin, that's probably one of those entrepreneurial lessons that took me the longest amount of time to learn. So I love the fact that you're sharing that with all of our listeners here today. I'd be very surprised if not everybody is feeling like I am. It's been a while since I've created an online course. I know there's one coming in the Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur ecosystem this year for all the reasons that you just talked about. And I think that a lot of people are going to be inspired hearing your perspective on it, because to me, this is the healthy, sustainable, transformative way to actually serve our audiences. I think that's really at the key of today's conversation. As you talk about the value, it's not just value on the business side, it's value in our service to others that inherently does a lot of good things down the line with the know, like, and trust factor, people who want to be part of our ecosystem. I think there's so much goodness. The only thing I was worried about today, Kevin, was that I knew we'd be running out of time here today, because we could talk about online courses for days and days. But with everything that we talked about in mind, I know that listeners are going to be excited and inspired from here. What's that one takeaway within the world of both online courses as well as entrepreneurship? Because you are someone who is so passionate about it. You share that with all of us here at the Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. What's that one takeaway you hope listeners walk away from today's session with?
Well, I didn't talk about it too much. I did mention it a little bit, but this is the one thing that I do want people to take away, and I'll just inject it in right now, which is whatever stories you're listening to on podcasts, you're typically going to always hear the cream of the crop. You're going to hear, and often they're the same people that go on around, your podcast is a little different, Brian, but there's a lot of podcasts where you'll hear the same people who've already had home runs after home run, and they're the only ones a lot of times that you'll hear. Please know that this is a marathon. This is not meant to be a sprint. And often, if I was just listening to, I think of some video the other day about the medieval ages, right? About, how people became blacksmiths and glassmakers and all this kind of stuff. 7 years was the apprenticeship, was the time of an apprenticeship. It took 7 years before they were allowed to go on their own and try their own. The entrepreneurial journey is going to take at least 7 years before you start to think of yourself, I think, as an entrepreneur. Now, maybe there's a few people that are just naturals, but if you're not a natural and it's hard and you've already begun and you're a year or two into this and you're getting discouraged, please know you have a long way to go before you can decide, oh, I'm not good at this. It's something that takes a while, and you can do it. You will fail, and you may fail again, and you may fail 3 times and 4 times. It doesn't matter. If you want it and you want the freedom, you want the ability to not have a boss screaming down your neck or send you emails in the middle of the night, whatever it is you're looking for, time independence, location independence, whatever, you can have that, and you can replace, I believe you can replace an income if that's what you're looking for or whatever, or a side income. You can get that. So please just don't give up is my takeaway. Don't give up. And don't get discouraged or try to battle through that discouragement.
Yes. Amen to that, Kevin. It puts a big smile on my face, because here's where my head goes with that advice, because that's the real stuff right there, listeners. This is why this show exists. Kevin, the reason why I know that that's the real stuff that listeners need to hear is because it's both discouraging and encouraging. And I think that's the reality of entrepreneurship, is that we can pump people up with all the encouraging stuff, but gosh, it's what you close on. You have to battle through those discouraging phases, because it's the real stuff. And the only thing I'm going to call out there and just pile onto your point is when you said natural. Listeners hear me say this every single week on the show. Nobody's a natural. It is all reps. Listeners, what Kevin just told you is the absolute truth. It's reps in everything in life. Those reps, we don't choose the timeline. We just have to keep putting in the work, keep putting in the reps. This is the real stuff, and I'm so appreciative for that, Kevin. I know that listeners are going to be keen to check out Owwlish, and especially if they're ready to use an online course platform that will work for them, they can check out Owwlish. But importantly, for all of you listening who you want to say, I want to go deeper into this hole, you can see that Kevin has those resources. So Kevin, the stage is yours. Drop those links on us. Where should listeners go from here?
Yeah. Okay. So check out, I would love you all who's listening. And if you're interested in this course that I created, the free course on how to market and build a course, a lucrative course, please go to Owwlish, owwlish.com/demo, and just click on any of if you have a website, if you have a WordPress website, a Squarespace, a Webflow, click on the one that you have, whatever you happen to use for your website. And then you can see the same course in any of those platforms and just experience it as a learner. Just, all you have to do is enter your name and your email. You'll be logged in. You'll get to watch my course. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you learn anything. And if you have any questions at all and you just want to chat, please go And on that same demo page, there's a way to schedule a demo with me. I'm happy to do an Owwlish demo, and we can just chat about courses in general, any frustrations you're going through. I love talking to course creators. It's a joy for me. I love, need a little motivation, or you need some kind of technical assistance, whatever technical advice. Happy to do it.
Yes, I love that offer, Kevin. That's super generous of you. You clearly love what you do, and I so love that, and it shows in everything that you do. Listeners, you already know the drill. The link is owwlish.com. It's OWWLISH.com. You'll also find that link down below in the show notes, wherever it is that you're tuning in. So Kevin, on behalf of myself and the entire Wantrepreneur to Entrepreneur audience, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much, Brian. It's been a pleasure, really.